Round 22, buy, hold, sell. Bizza, mate. The morning's getting earlier in New York. I'm guessing you're getting a bit tired of this early slot, right?
Mate, the Eels were done and dusted 5-6 weeks ago. The season's winding down, but I still love recording this session with you, Longy. And it's fun, it's the run home. My team's coming in strong, almost hit 1,100 this week, gained 700, 800 ranks into the top 2K. Trying to catch you, but I think you've got too much of a head start on me.
I don't know, man. I'm 250th right now, so I made the dumb call of not captaining Cleary last week, which
It didn't hurt you that bad. I mean, rank-wise. Dropped a few, but not too bad.
Yeah, but it was almost a really good week. Like, my team went great outside of that. It's just Payne Haas to Cleary. Like, when Haas scored 70, I thought, oh, that's great. I'll lose maximum 15 points if Cleary goes off. He pumps out 50 points more. So, yeah, tough little round for me, but not a massive drop. The team's looking good, very healthy, and I'm looking at some pretty dicey trades this week.
Ooh, keen to hear about them. Let's go.
Let's jump in. All right, and just quickly, shout out. So, first up, Bailey Sivis, 9971, guessed the score last week. Grab that 112 points. So, Bailey, I'm just going to drop a comment below. Just shoot me an email to that email. Include a screenshot of your own YouTube profile as well from the back end so I can see it's you. And you'll get that championship ring delivered to you, man. So, congratulations.
Congrats.
Now, 112, by the way. What a guess.
It's a good guess. Wouldn't have called it myself, but obviously, if I did, I would have won the ring. But good work, Bailey.
Do you reckon Bailey was sitting there, though? He was sitting there thinking, like, oh, I just need this third try. I need this third try.
I wonder if he remembered it. And, like, on the updates, he was kind of like, his hands were tingling. He was like, oh, I needed to get the 1 to 12. I doubt it,
Well, man, he was one of 250 guesses. So there was a lot of guesses on it. But, yeah congrats, Bailey. Now, for this week, guys, we got a promo with the championship ring as well. I will say, by the way, jump across. I've got the link in the description for thecasualathlete.com.au. Jump across, get yourself a championship ring. They're currently discounted to $99. So if you've won your league or if you think you're going to win your league, get your league mates to chip in, get yourself a championship ring. There is nothing better than rocking up to next year's start of season with last year's championship ring. So go check that out. Biz, mate, you're in New York as well. I feel like it's a big culture over there.
Yeah, I've got a couple of rings from my NFL fantasy league already. I actually do my third one, so I haven't collected that yet. But it's bling bling on the wall, so get onto it.
Bling bling, bling bling. So this week we have a really cool promo. You have to guess the top scorer for round 22. Championship rings currently cost $150 at full price. You get that player's score subtracted off that price. So if you guessed Cleary last week, for example, you would get 150 minus 112, which means it'd be $38. So massive discount. If you guess a guy who scores about 75 points, you're getting half price. You're getting it down to $75. It's a way to get a good deal. And also, if you can guess that big score, you're in a good spot. So drop it in the comments below. Guess the top scorer for round 22 and get yourself a discount on a championship ring. Now, let's get right into it. NRL Fantasy. So the buys first. Pretty straightforward, man. We were sitting around before this and we were sort of going, oh, look, at this stage of the year, everyone knows who the buys are. I think we can go one by one, right? And we know everyone knows about these players, but let's just talk about the potential upside and risks of each of these guys. So Nathan Cleary first. I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, Nathan Cleary, 112 last week. I mean, that's what he can do. 3 tries, couple of try assists, 200-plus meters. He just scores in every category, kicks goals. Panthers look amazing again. Could be like the 5th grand final in a row. And what was great is even in a blowout, he played 80 minutes. He didn't come off after 50, 60 minutes. They kept him out there. I think it's a no-brainer. Yes, he'll be rested round 27, but if you're waiting till round 27, he might have scored 300s by then. And we've already seen that he does like to finish the season strong. So, yeah, I think you have to get him in.
I'll throw 2 things in there. I think the lack of rest was because of Fisher Harris being hurt early and Dane Laurie being hurt as well. So they didn't have the spare troops to rest him. But the thing I'll shout out here is that 252 run meters. That's not the mark of a player who's carrying an injury and preserving themselves. That's an absurd amount of running.
That's a lot for half. That's more than Dylan Brown usually does. He's a running half. I mean, I think the 10 weeks off, they probably rested him multiple weeks more than necessary. So he's probably fully fit and ready to go, and he wants to make up for lost time.
Mate, Nathan Cleary, I'm with you there. Newcastle Knights this week, so he's going to be a stud. Isaiah Yeo, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but he played big minutes last week. There's no Fisher Harris now, so he's going to have to play plenty of minutes in this run. The only downside is potentially that round 27 resting, but he basically never scores below 55. So he's automatic. If you can get him for that price, again, it's good value. It's an easy one. I'll jump onto Fanua Blake here and then I'll throw Fogarty to you, man. So Fanua Blake against our Parramatta Eels this week, it's a question of whether he scores 1, 2, 3, or 4 tries in this game because Parramatta haven't been tackling much through the middle. And Fanua Blake, he's on a run of tries. So playing big minutes, I reckon he's going to be a monster this round.
Yeah, Parramatta also love conceding proper tries. I feel right under the post and lazy defense. Yeah, Fanua Blake could be a contender for that, competition for top scorer of the week. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 80 plus. If he's going to score 100, this is probably the week to do it. I think Fanua Blake, he's leading the charge. As long as Warriors are there with a sniff, he's going to want to finish at the New Zealand with a bang. Get him in. I think he's still at a reasonable price for what he can output. But yeah, Jamal Fogarty, look, he's come back like he's never, just like Cleary, it's like they never missed any time with 2 back-to-back large scores. Before the season, I doubted Fogarty. I was one of the, guys who didn't believe in him, but he's come out, and other than like 1 or 2 games, he's scored around 60 or higher in most of these games. At 735k, he's still a bit of value, a 60-plus scorer, and there'll be a pot for sure, right? So everyone's going to rush in Cleary. If you need a second half, if you've only got Galvin or you want to move on Galvin, Fogarty's a great pick. So, look, he's kind of making 20 to 25 tackles. He's got the most kick meters per game out of anyone this year. Like, he's constantly hitting 600-plus kick meters, kicks goals. There's not much attack outside of him coming from the halves. Like, Strange is more of a secondary half with a lot of assists, a lot of line break assists, and doesn't mind running the ball. So, yeah, he scores in a lot of categories. If I had trades, I'd love to get Fogarty, but I don't think I'll be able to get on.
I mean, Galvin to Fogarty, that's 50k it costs you. You don't have to worry about the round 26 buy that Galvin has. We'll talk about Galvin more on the holds or sells, but I'm a big fan of that trade if you're starting Galvin in year 17 as an upgrade there. So big fan of that. Kellen Pong is the last one here, 688k. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Ponga scores 50 plus versus Penrith this week. Now, do I think Newcastle are going to win against Penrith? No, I don't think that's going to happen. Do I think that there's been a big upgrade in the halves pairing with Phoenix Crossland now partnering the other men in the halves? Like, no, I don't think that either. But I still just reckon Ponga comes out and gets it done. And there's a few reasons for that. I think Penrith are a little bit vulnerable this week defensively. So firstly, James Fisher-Harris is gone. He's a big part of their middle dominance. And they've got other guys who can come in, but Lindsay Smith isn't the enforcer Fisher-Harris is. Second thing, no Dylan Edwards and now no Dane Laurie either. So they've got Isaiah Yongi coming in. I like to call him Isaiah Longy. But he's coming in. Look, he's a rookie fullback. I doubt he can organize the defense the way a guy like Dylan Edwards can. And the third thing is they're missing a starting center. So I think there's a lot of holes that are going to open themselves up for Ponga. And I think as much as Newcastle will lose this game, there's going to be plenty of chances for Ponga to pop off some big scores.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on the other limb and say that Ponga's going to get like a sub-25 score this week. I just think historically he never scores well against Penrith. I've owned him multiple times for him only to give me like 12 against Penrith. But do I think he's a buy? Yes, because I think there's still a chance like he does well. Like it's like a flip of the coin for me. Like he could go 50 plus just on a game where he tries a lot and he targets the new rookie players, or he gets stud score. Either way, like you can't really wait too much on the top tier guns because you only got them for like 5-6 more weeks. Just get Ponga, at his price. Even if he doesn't do that great this week, I'm sure he'll make it back in the next few weeks. I don't have him, but if I needed a wing fullback, I would be encouraging people to get him in because, yeah, like I said, there's a chance he gets 15 this week, but every wing fullback has a chance of 15 on any given week. So, yeah, I think he's a great buy. He might be the top wing fullback for the run home.
Well, that's where I am, man. I need a wing fullback right now, and I'm just getting Ponga. I don't want to start KO weeks this week, so
no.
Easy shout. But let us know in the comments where you think Ponga's going to score, what you think his prediction is going to be. I'm going to call it a 59. I think it goes well. And Biz, you're calling it, what, at 24 then?
I'll go 26.
Okay, just floating up a bit. All right, fair play. Into the weight section. So this one's pretty straightforward, guys. And look, you've heard this ad nauseum, right? But you need to look at the buy schedule of these players when you're picking them up. So next few weeks of buys, it's this week is Manly, next week is the Roosters, the week after is the Broncos, then it goes Cowboys, Tigers, and Warriors. So it's one to keep in mind across the board. But Roosters, first 3 players here, Crichton, Watson, Tedesco, and next week, and then Haas and Walsh are the week after. Now, the reason I say wait on these guys, Gus Crichton, Connor Watson, James Tedesco, is because you probably already have a couple of other Roosters players, right? So most teams have 2 Roosters players. If you buy a third one and you've got 3 guys on the buy, and then maybe you have a dud like, Jake Tungo or Jed Cartwright or one of these cash out sort of players, it means that you basically have no flexibility at all with your side. And if there's even one injury, then you play sub 17, which is the ultimate goal. You're trying to avoid that. So I'd be steering clear of buying any of these guys. But Biz, I'll throw it to you, man. For the Broncos, the buy the week after next, do you think that should play into people buying Payne Haas, Reece Walsh, or do you think it's not a big deal?
I think it is a big deal, you're right, because if you have too many players on a buy, it does hurt your score. Like, for example, I'm losing Garrick and Warden this week, and I'm replacing them with Isaac, Tungo, and Pan. So I'm definitely conceding some points. But I think with Haas and Walsh a bit further out, you could maybe get them in. With Crichton and Watson, definitely Watson, because he came off after 55 minutes next week. He's a great scorer, but he needs 80 minutes or at least 70 minutes. I don't know. He did apparently cop a knock to the hand, but I'd wait on Watson in case they're just easing his minutes towards the back end of the year to keep him fresh for the finals. Crichton and Teddy will obviously play 80 minutes, but I think you wait on those 3. I think Haas is too good a player to wait on. Like, he could easily score 70 again this week. They played him 71 minutes or 70 minutes or something. I think of this list, I'm rushing in Haas. I don't think Walsh is that elite of a wing fullback scorer to rush in just to have a buy soon. I got Walsh in 2 weeks ago, but I wouldn't get him in now. And Angus and Teddy, I think the best fullback with Latrell and Edwards out, I think Ponga will probably be clearly the best fullback alongside Teddy. Walsh probably just a bit behind them. I agree, because I think you could get in Teddy or Crichton if you don't have any other Roosters. If you've got another Rooster, especially if you have 2 Roosters, I would avoid them until after they buy for sure.
So if you're a Sam Walker owner, for example, right, and you don't view him as a keeper for the run home, Sam Walker to another Rooster, not the worst idea?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sam Walker's not a keeper at this point of the season. Sam Walker or like a Fogarty would be amazing, or a Cleary, or if you've already stacked for halves, then I'd do Sam Walker to Crichton and Teddy for sure. Yeah.
All right, good shout. I agree with you on Reece Walsh as well. I was sort of looking at him last week, but that flu that sort of came up, that just made me think, you know what? No, I'll wait for Ponga. I think Ponga's run home too is elite. So, yeah, probably steer clear of him. Quick shout out to you guys. Drop it in below who you think will be the top scorer this week. You can include a prediction too. So if you think that, I know Reece Walsh is going to prove us wrong against the Titans and he's going to absolutely pump out a massive score, chuck Reece Walsh's name down there. He might score you 80 points. So guess below who you think will be the top scorer in round 22 and earn yourself a bit of a discount on a championship ring. Now, Pod's up next, and this is a fun section. We'll spend a bit more time here. But we've got Val Holmes, Cam Murray, Hudson Young, Sean Johnson, and Cam Munster. So a lot of historical pedigree on this list, and a lot of it at a big discount. I'm going to throw it to you first, Biz, and I'm going to let you choose from this list. Who here do you think has the most upside potentially? Yeah, dropping you on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, I would have loved to say Sean Johnson, but I'm the doofus who got him at like 820K, and then he played 2 weeks of like 20 points, and I need to drop 200K. If I didn't have Sean Johnson on my team, I could have been doing so much better. I would say the highest potential is Cam Munster here, just because we know what he can do. We know how good the Storm are, and the rest of their season draw is not that bad at all. So he's coming into a team that's winning without him. You asked for the highest upside, it's Munster. Now, do I think I'll hit it? I don't know, because the Hughes is doing well. He's coming off long-term injury. They might relax him into it, but Munster's a guy who can average 60 plus, and he's a guy who's scored 100 plus before. So I would say Cam Munster has the highest upside of this group.
Yep, he has the Dragons this week as well. So the Dragons,
whatever they're doing, as bad though I know they conceded 112 against Cleary, but they're not. They're like a fringe 8 team this year. So
I've just never seen a team so unwilling to tackle the obvious primary playmaker. They were just parting in front of him. And like the Penrith centers didn't get any ball, right? Because the Dragons were like, oh, we'll double team Casey McLean and leave Cleary open. He's not going to run the ball. And he bloody ran for 250 meters. Like, it was just some of the most insane play style I've ever seen from St. George. So I don't know. I reckon Cam Munster is a good shout. I reckon he could pop off. Like, I wouldn't buy him by any means, but if you were looking for a shot where it was like, hey, this has a 2% chance of skyrocketing me up the ranks and a 98% chance of being a massive problem and being a rest at the end of the year and all that other stuff, then Cam Munster is a good shout for that particular category.
If you're like ranked 20,000 with nothing to lose, let's go for it. Like, whatever.
I mean, that's the point, right? Fantasy is for fun too. I will put that in there, right? Like, so it's not school. There's no grades. You know, if you finish 500 instead of 1,500 or whatever, it doesn't matter that much unless you're really going for that top 10. Like, just make the calls that you enjoy, make the calls that make it fun for you. And if Munster makes it fun for you, then so be it. We'll go up the list then, because Sean Johnson's the other one to talk about here. So the injury concerns are the big problem. Everything in me says, look at him, 658K, up against Parramatta. You know, he's kicking goals, so he'll get at least 40 points from goal kicking because, you know, Parramatta are Parramatta. I'm so salty about Parramatta this year, man. Like,
I'm not going to comment because we'll go on for 20 minutes about how salty we both are.
If we roasted any other team like we roast Parramatta, we would get so much hate. By the way,
To be fair, when Parramatta are doing well, like all 5 of our buys are usually the Eels. It's very biased.
Actually, you're right. You're actually right. Remember that period where we had like Bryce Cartwright in there, Sean Lane's.
Man, I said Bryce Cartwright would be like, I don't know, a top 2 edge this year.
I mean, you got to say what you got to say. You're making calls. With Shawnee Johnson, though, like, if you were a team who, I don't know, maybe you're the Nico Hines team, right? And you're in a draft league or something like that, and you just don't like your halves pairing. If you can go and make an offer to the Sean Johnson owner and you can sell like a mid for Sean Johnson, not like a top mid, but a semi-reliable mid, and they're like, you know what, I've already got 2 halves, whatever, and they do it, then I don't mind that as a dice roll in like a draft league, but I just reckon the likelihood is that this would burn you as well. So, yeah, I'm with you. Probably skip this one, but it does have potential upside. Hudson Young is a safer one. So he's cranked out top 3 fantasy scores the last 2 weeks in a row. We actually did talk about him as a pod a bit earlier in the year as well. I think it was round 20 that we were talking about it. But he's come out and pumped up some big scores. So big tackle counts, lots of tackle breaks. 2 weeks ago, he had 2 tries in that score and scored 93, I think it was. Last week, it was 83 points. No tries, 8 missed tackles, and still 83 points. Like, that is absolutely bonkers. Just a bunch of tackle breaks, a bunch of run meters, all that. So if you want a forward who no one else has and who doesn't have buys for the run home, I can't recommend you buy Hudson Young over Angus Crichton. But at the same time, there is a world where he does outscore Gus.
Yeah, and we've seen before, like, some of these players just get on hot runs. Like Gus, right? When he came on, he was like scoring like 70 plus each week. Hudson Young is an attacking player. So if Raiders have been playing well since Fogg came back, and you know, we saw what they were doing at the start of the year with Fogg. Fogg makes a huge difference to them. So again, if you're in a position where you need to take a bit of a punt, like Hudson Young is not bad. So this year especially, like when you see a hot run of form, if you can jump on early. I know he's had 2 big scores already, but if it goes for 4 or 5 rounds of good scores, like, I could see myself doing it for sure.
It's very enticing. No buys, probably not a rest either towards the end of the year too. So you're not worrying about any of that, like you would be with the Roosters. Like, Roosters will lock up a top 4 spot, I would expect, right? Yeah. So Gus Crichton has that buy during your head-to-head finals, and then maybe a rest as well. Nat Butcher sits on the bench there. He's a very capable backup. So it's a lot of problems for Gus, I think, compared to a Hudson Young. Cam Murray here. Do you have any interest in Cam Murray on the edge? I've put him in here because I'm getting asked him a lot.
I think you definitely wait a couple of weeks before getting him. He's like, you're not rushing him in. He's one of those guys, if you're saving a couple of trades for like injuries, he's someone you could bring in if you think that if he's playing 80 minutes on the edge, scoring 55 plus, and you know someone goes down in the next week or 2, he's a trade-in candidate. I wouldn't be trading anyone out specifically to get Cam Murray because I think he's probably more a high 40s, low 50s scorer on the edge. He just doesn't have that big tackle busting upside on the edge like a Olaquatu, etc.
Or Hudson Young.
Yeah, or Hudson Young. Legitimately. So I think it's a wait and see for me on Murray.
Yeah.
Definitely want to Well, with Murray, I'm keeping an eye on him for next year if he keeps that edge role. So
there is a chance that because they do have they got Talis Duncan now and Michael Cheekham both on the bench, so there is that chance that Murray does start on the edge and then move to the middle for parts of the game. There is that chance that he goes to lock and Kolomatangi goes to prop. It could be anything.
No, I think the last game he played, he started on the edge for 20 and then he played out middle. So if that's the case and you see that this week, then he could be a 60 guy. So then, I'd bring him in then. But I'd wait. I'd just confirm his role this week. But I agree.
It's kind of like Ryan Madison on steroids, basically. Like everything we said about Maddo before, but better. Yeah, I'm with you there. So Cam Murray, I will give you the numbers. So on the edge, 9 games on the edge, counting Origin. The Origin numbers were better than the club numbers, so I've left them in. 9 games on the edge. He's had 2 games above 60 points out of that 9 games. 52 average, so not inspiring, but we don't know if those games are him moving to the middle, sliding around. One of those games is like 2017, which he would have been young for as well. Like there's a lot of factors there. So overall, I'm not super convinced on this one. But if you do want a super pod at a pretty good price, and let's say you're capped at 680K, I like Murray more than I like Curran, for example, or some of these other guys that have been tossed around at that price too. So not a bad shout. Val Holmes is the one that I actually think is really, really, really interesting. And there are problems with this buy, right? So you look at Val Holmes and he's leaving the Cowboys, potentially testing the market. There's talk he'll sign with St. George and be a fullback over there, goal-kicking fullback, which is exciting for next year. He's a bit in and out of form. He got beat up a bit in the Origin games as well. I don't know. I just sort of look at it and I go, you know what, though? Cowboys scored 70 on the Tigers last year. Val Holmes is 577K up against the Tigers this week. Has a bye coming up, but he's a guy who, when I did the data analysis, has one of the best upside scores out of all centers because he can go massive so frequently. And if I was sitting in maybe 25th rank, for example, and I had Iro as my starting center, I would consider this. Now, it's not an objectively good move, but it's one of those moves that's so different to everyone else that gives you that little 5%, 2%, whatever it is, chance that it pops off and you just fly up the ranks.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. Like with the Val Holmes, he does have a bye remaining, but he's got the Tigers, Broncos, Raiders, Storm, and then the Dogs. So he's got 2 top 8 teams in there. But so let me read out Val Holmes' first 5 scores of the year. 67, 37, 88, 41, 60. I think he was coming out with like a high 50s average out of the block and the number 1 center to start the year. That's when Cowboys weren't playing too well. They're on the up now. They're 3-1 in the last 4 games. So he's one that we talked about all year. Actually, when we talked about our center strategy at the start of the year, Longy, we spoke about it. It's about identifying centers we're about to enter long, prolonged periods of easy matchups or their form's expected to explode. That's when you really see centers be value for money, right? So I don't mind. If I need a center this week and I couldn't afford the top tier, Val Holmes is pretty interesting.
The thing is, who is the top tier, right? So if I was looking at center and I was sort of going, all right, I can get Herbie Farnworth versus the Roosters. I can get, I don't know, Jack Whiten, who's historically a 43 average. I can get Bo Firma, who I personally don't believe in as a consistent scorer at all. Or I can get Dylan Lucas, who's playing at center. I mean, who are the other centers, right? You've got Garrick, who's hurt right now. Jacob Carraz. Is it out? Yeah, but I mean,
I think they're all kind of similar. Like you're dice rolling on like that tier of player.
Yeah, because there aren't locked in gun centers, right? There's Isaac Tungo who we've talked about just because he's so cheap and he's the exact same dice roll as the other ones, but he's just cheaper. So I mean, I think Val Holmes is one of the best. I don't need a center at all, but if I was buying one, I would near certainly go Val Holmes.
Yeah, I mean it's an exciting one. Like especially, like I said, especially if you need a pod. Like all the we just rattled off 10 players. Any single one of them could be the highest scoring center for the remaining 6 rounds. So like any of them, right? It's not like
including Tungo, by the way.
Including Tungo, last year he exploded 10 the year. Like he had 5 90s in a row. I'm obviously exaggerating that, but not Jake Tungo, Isaac Tungo would be
Not Jake.
Jake could be the lowest. Isaac Tungo could easily average like 50 from here. You just never know with centers. You just go with gut, draw, form. Holmes doesn't really have the form. I mean, he's coming off a decent score. I think he just had an 80 recently.
Dude, Murray Talangi's back as well. Murray's been out for a while. I think that helps them too. He's a good winger. Like, they got to go to that edge.
Yeah, he just came off a 54. A couple of 30s before that, 57, 80, not that long ago. He actually had 80 against the Tigers in round 12. That was in 70 minutes with a sin bin. So, without that sin bin and playing 80 minutes, could have scored 100. So, yeah, look, if you want to roll the dice and maybe end up with a big score this week, this is the man.
You're making me kind of want to do it now.
I want to do it, but I don't have the trade to do it.
I've got the trade. It's just such a waste going like Iro to Holmes. It's like, why would I do that?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But like, if I need this, and I've seen some players with like Blaze, Talangi, or McLean, their starting centers like that. That's when you try and get the Holmes in for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Or if you've got Garrick out this week and you cover at center, it's actually not bad to have an extra one because you're going to need one for Tedesco and you're going to need one for every other like Walsh, whoever else. So yeah. All right, we're talking ourselves into Val Holmes this week. I love that. I love the way it evolves. I always write these players down, and just one of them always pops up as like the one that we're really hyping.
Yeah, you're like, we'll just chuck this name out there, and then you talk about it. Maybe I'm cooking here.
I mean, to be fair, this one I put him up first. He's my captain in Supercoach draft this week. I reckon.
Are you game enough to be? He's your top scorer of the round for the ring competition.
I'm going to say that. Yeah. Val Holmes is my pick. It would have taken some thinking to get there, but yeah, I'll take him. I think the goal kicking, the Tigers are pretty dodgy right now. He's going to do it.
Good stuff.
All right, Val Holmes, my pick. I'm going to say 87 points. I think that's huge. Maybe 112. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. So next up, cash outs, and it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to go through the list, and then I want you to inject Biz with anyone that you want to add some notes on or whatever it is there. So Isaiah Yongi, Fletcher Myers, and Stone Street from the Sharks as well. So Yongi from Panthers, starting fullback for 1 to 2 weeks, 230K. Fletcher Myers is winger at the Rabbitohs, starting winger for at least 4 weeks. Munro does come back. Maybe they play him, maybe they don't. Maybe Myers has a spot for the rest of the year. Not certain. And then Stone Street at the Sharks, he's in for 4 weeks while Mulatalo is out. All three of these guys average between 34 and 37 points in reserve grade this year. All three can find the try line in reserve grade, but that 34 to 37 points isn't inspiring. So if you're taking a cash out of this three, Yongi, you only would buy if you needed a player this week out of the three, and even then I probably wouldn't do it. Fletcher Myers, you'd buy if you believe in South Sydney and you think Latrell's going to come back and all that. I don't think that's likely to happen. So my view is that Stone Street is the one. I think the Sharks are a team that feeds their wingers some pretty easy tries. Stone Street has some wheels on him as well. He looked like a decent player. He grabbed a 27 with a try last time he played, but if I was going to take a dice roll on this three, I think he's the one that has some upside.
Yeah, I don't love all three of them. I'd say Stone Street for sure. I think Yongi doesn't have long enough. Myers, I think they've got a few options that can fill in there, so he might not be that secure. I think Stone Street, they've rated him highly, and they've looked for opportunities to get him into first grade. So I think this is one he can do pretty well. To be honest, unless I really needed the extra 50K, I personally would just skip those three and go straight into Savage. I just think has more upside for, he scored a try and 23 points last week, but he's got better job security. He's going to play every game for the rest of the year, and has shown that he can average 30 plus when Fogg's in the team. Savage is the cash out I used last week, and I'm still hot on him over those three, because the last thing I want is a depth player who just becomes a red dot. So definitely I wouldn't be on Myers and Yongi. Stone Street, if I really wanted 50K extra, then yes, but otherwise I think Savage is the guy. And we spoke about Savage last week, so same.
You're spot on too, by the way. Like the weeks that you would need these guys are going to be around 25, 26, 27.
Yeah.
And they're the weeks that all three are uncertain to play.
Yeah.
Right.
Savage could be there barring injury. So yeah, I agree. And McLean's another one where his brother, Jesse McLean, is probably due back around then. So we don't know for sure if Casey's going to keep the spot over Jesse. Yeah, he's been playing well. Scored a good individual try last week. It's kind of creeping up in price. So last week I had to choose between Savage and McLean. I went Savage myself just in case that Jesse McLean came back or Alamotti came back earlier. I know Alamonti's got a broken arm, but I don't know somehow finds it back in. So on this list of 5, I like Savage into maybe Stone Street, into McLean, and then long fall to the other 2.
Yeah. You can't judge these ones either way, by the way, by a single week. So if you're looking at Savage versus McLean last week, their scores last week actually mean nothing at all because you weren't going to play either of them last week anyway, right? So you can only judge them the weeks that you're actually playing these guys. So if we're in round 26, for example, you need a player in these spots and you have McLean and you actually needed a wing fullback, well, it doesn't matter what they were scoring because Savage was the better option. Or if that week McLean's in hot form and Savage has actually, been dropped from the team or whatever, then he was the better option. So you can't really judge these right away. I think a lot of the strategy for the run home, people will make the mistake of going, all right, well, that was a bad trade because this happened this week. It's like, no, we're making trades for, originally it was an 8-week period. It's now 6 weeks, but we're making trades for quite a long period. And a lot of what I'm focusing on as a coach is that last 3 weeks and nailing that. Yeah. And that's where I'm not jumping to get Isaiah Yeo, for example, because I've got Cleary already, right? That's where I'm not jumping to get Mitch Barnett because I've already got Fanua Blake. Like, I've got some problems around 27 and I really just can't afford any more.
I think that's the exact strategy I'm doing with my cash outs. Like if I'm making cash outs, I want players that'll be there for me to give me like a 20 in round 26, 27. I don't think a cash out is that useful at this point of year if they're not going to, I don't need, touch wood, my team's not going to deplete over the next couple of weeks. It'll be heavily depleted in the last 2. So when I look at this list of 5 cash outs, to me, the one that will be there, with the most certainty around 26, 27 is Savage. You don't know for sure, right? You never know. There's always injuries, suspensions. Savage could swing an arm someone and be suspended. But I just thought on a probability basis that Savage is the highest probability on this list that he'll be there for those rounds. He might be the only one on this list who doesn't play those rounds. But right now, I'd say he's got the highest chance. So that's how I justify it.
Good bit of strategy there, man. Good bit of strategy. Now, Savage, top scorer for the week?
Nah, mate. That's I'll go Jake Tunner. No, I'm kidding. No, I'll go
Jake Tunner, by the way. I had him sitting in my reserves, and if he scored well, I was actually going to move Weeks to Ponga last week and just take the loophole.
Yeah.
And he was on 22 points after 12 minutes. He finished the game on about 18. So
yeah, he did. He scored early. He scored a nice try early. We borrowed under 3 or 4 players. So
massive try.
But I'll go Fanua Blake for my top scorer on the right.
Fanua Blake.
I reckon he'll jag 93.
Ooh, so Val Holmes v Fanua Blake for us. Guys, let us know who your guess is for that top scorer as well. Remember, whatever that score is, if they score 150, you get a free ring, by the way. I've got no maximum. If they score 160, you get $10 in the ring. I don't care. If you get it that right, then good on you, right? All right, hold or sell. So hold or sell section now. We've got Lockie Galvin, Max Plath, DeBellin, Hughes, and Weeks. These are the questions I'm getting a lot of. Lockie Galvin we'll start with. I've been talking about Galvin for a couple of weeks now and sort of saying I don't trust him to be a producer in that last 3 weeks. I reckon he's going to cause problems for us. The injury came a bit earlier than expected, so he went off for the last 5 minutes last week. Had a bit of an ankle, groin, something issue. He's back at training. He's named. He's fully fit for this week is what we're being told. I just look at him at 683K, and I think there's problems in that. There's around 26 bye. There's a very high likelihood that maybe he doesn't play around 27. And there's potential injury risk as well. And there's a guy who, like we were talking about before, had his manager complaining about the team playing him when he was injured. So I look at him, I look at the fact that he's 18, I look at the fact that they're a struggling team, and I just think there's enough there for me to go, you know what, if I can trade Galvin to a producer in my team, so someone like Kellen Ponga at the same price, or someone like Jamal Fogarty, who's a genuine 60-plus average, or whatever it is there, then I reckon you should just do that.
Yeah, I want to go on the other side here, and I'm saying Lachlan Galvin is a solid hold until he is not named or out
Yep.
for a prolonged period, because I think that he's scoring well enough that you play him in your 17. Like, he's scored like a couple of 70s in the last few weeks, and I think trades are too much at a premium to lateral to a Ponga who might score worse than him this week, or a Bog who might give you 5 to 6 extra points on average for the run home. Like, I think trades are worth more than that. So I'm going on the other camp here and saying that until Galvin's actually hurt or his name doesn't appear on the team list, I'll be holding him. So there you go.
If you were me and you were in a position where Galvin gave you that one trade to Ponga, which meant you don't have to play KO weeks in your starting side, would you take that option as opposed to having to 2 trade to get to Ponga?
I mean, who would you replace?
So Galvin isn't in my 17 this week. He's actually 18th man.
Oh, no, then I would trade him. Yeah. If he's your 18th man, for sure. You must be in a pretty good position depth-wise if he's your 18th man. Then I'd do it.
It's ascending a few guys. So, I mean, there's some dodgy plays in there, right? So it's counting Madison as a reliable scorer. It's counting Starling. It's counting Scott Sorensen. And it's counting Sean Bloor with Munster back.
Yeah, no, I think they're all fine. I mean, out of those, I mean, maybe I'd trade a Sean Bloor instead, but
then I'd have to go Bloor and Finu out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I get the logic for it. I'd rather have Ponga as a starting fullback than Galvin as an 18th man. So
yeah. Okay. So there's different. Basically, the thing I want to hammer there is that there's different scenarios for different teams. So
yeah, whereas Galvin's my starting half, so I'm not trading him to get next to Cleary. Like, I'm not going to upgrade it to Fog and burn a trade for maybe 7-8 points more a week. But
what I would shout out though is I'm getting some questions from people who are sort of going, all right, do I sell Jerome Hughes this week? And they're teams that have Galvin. Right? Yeah. So there's a 50K difference. I think Jerome Hughes is 5 points better than Galvin when they're both fit. And I think the fact that there's that bye and there's injuries, and Jerome Hughes could get a rest at some point as well. But Jerome Hughes, when he costs 50K more than Galvin, stick him in your team, keep him. He's not creme de la creme with Munster back, but I still think I look at his matchups and I think, you know what, he'll average about 55 for this run home. So I think keep him and move Galvin again if you're looking at those two as possible sells.
Yeah, if you've held Hughes until now, I just think trades are too. Like, he might have been a sell a week or so ago, or a couple of weeks ago, if you wanted to clear him out. But I honestly just think people are running out of trades to sell someone like Hughes. If there's always an injury or a suspension, like, I would just hold those trades for guys you'll have to trade out. Like, this week was good fantasy wise. Like, there was no major fantasy player injuries, but there could be a week where 5 of them go down and those trades more. And sure. Yeah, like, that always happens every year. So I'd rather just have a Hughes for the rest of the year. Weeks, the next guy less, I'm not that sure of, because I just don't think he's that great a scorer at fullback. I think he's like a 30s guy. And he'll pop off for the occasional 50, but I think he'll also fade for the occasional 10. So Weeks is a guy I would potentially move at his price. I know we spoke about him last week, so I don't think we need to go in depth again. But Weeks at 560K, he's like that mid-ranger for me that I could cash out and use to upgrade elsewhere, or try and move him to a Val Holmes, for example.
Yep. I mean, I could go Weeks to Savage and then Finu up to Ponga, for example, right?
That could be interesting.
But that's 2 trades instead of 1.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather keep the 3 trades. I just think about this, right? So keeping a guy like Galvin, right, and then having to use that extra trade to keep Galvin, as opposed to saving that trade for when, I'm not going to name any names, but a big name player goes down.
Yeah.
And you can, you're costing yourself the trade that you could get then.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just think this year is going to be pretty brutal. So,
a little bit. Yeah.
It's team by team.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping KO Weeks as depth for me.
Yeah.
And if Jake Tungo drops out next week, then I'll have Jai Gray and KO Weeks loopholing into one spot. Which
Jai Gray's doing all right, to be honest. So I know Latrell might be back in a week or two, but
Latrell apparently another 4 weeks minimum.
Oh really? Oh well, then
so around 26 at the earliest, and they're 2 wins out of the 8.
Yeah, perfect. Gray's honestly, he's probably good enough to be a starting fullback.
I reckon he gets the year. I reckon he gets.
He's not like. Yeah, he's got a couple of duds in him, but what's he kind of scoring? He got 52 last week, right? So
he's got a lot of 50s, but they're flat 50s with tries.
Yeah,
so
he's a try scorer. So
yeah, I call him a 40 average. That's where I see him. But I think he'll be dodgy this week. Plath and DeBellin, the last two here. So Plath, I mean, he's had a big score last week. Obviously, O'Sullivan on the bench means that Plath is playing some lock minutes too. The 80 minutes is very attractive. Is Plath a hold at this stage?
I'm holding him. I just think that his dual position is handy. He's shown he can get a big score. Kurt Donahue, I think. Is Donahue named this week? I don't remember seeing their bench. But, I just think, again, on the Hughes debate, he's not going to be the tier 1, but he's close enough to tier 2 that you probably just want to hold him. Those 30s were a bit of a blip, but they could have just been one-offs, right? I don't know what happened twice, but maybe he's more likely a 50-point guy than a 30-point guy, and he actually chains the 60 with a couple of 50s. So I would hold, yeah.
Yeah, adjusting. He's going to be a starting half soon as well if you're holding Galvin. So yeah, pretty exciting.
I got Jack Whiten, don't worry.
Jack Whiten's averaged 55 in the last 5 games.
Yeah, he's been gunned since moving to 6. So you said, he's not going to beat his Dally M yet. Somehow he's smashing. So I guess he
43 average.
He had like 500 kick meters last week or something. So
yeah, Cody Walker went up the tunnel twice last week. Like he was everywhere. So yeah, I don't know. I remember I got laughed at quite a bit for the Jack Whiten play. And I was like, nah, he's shit at fantasy, blah, blah. Jack Whiten. It's like, well, he's a 43 average historically. You give him a 40. You throw in the fact that the Bunnies are fighting for that spot, and they're a pretty expansive team. Like at 400k, center eligibility, I loved him.
I would have just had him as my he was meant to be like my 3rd or 4th center depth, and now he's my number 1 center. Like he's averaged 52 in 80 minutes since going to 5'8", so he's probably up there in like the top 3 centers of the game right now. So
52 is elite. I think that's the second best center last year. I think Dan Gagai had 55, but then no one else.
Yeah, this year other than like Aitkins, it's probably with Aitken gone, he might be the best center run home. Although the Souths have a really tough draw. Like they've got Sharks, they've got Melbourne, they've got Panthers, and they've got the Roosters. So in the last 6 games, they've got all of the top 4.
But if Whiten gets frustrated and just starts running the ball,
and offloading and you're swaying around.
It's almost better. Like when things are going smoothly, he actually plays way worse.
Yeah. when and if he dominates a lot more stats, then for sure.
I reckon he's good. DeBellin's the last one here, so a few questions about him. I've been pretty firmly on the sell train. Like I was chatting to Murray earlier, who's sitting in 4th place. He was saying the same thing. Like you can't afford to have a guy in your middle forward position who is unreliable, because these other middle forwards, you're picking AFB this week as the top scorer. Haas and Yoba scored 70 each without doing anything exceptional. Like the middle forward position is so strong, and DeBellin is so inconsistent that you just got to get rid of him.
Yeah, middle is like probably the most stacked position this year. I have so many gun players in the middles. Like last year was the halves. Like this year, I think Jack DeBellin, he's kind of doing 55, 35, 55, 35. On the flip side, at 600k, he's not like he's dialed in, like he's a lot of cash potential to move him out. I think if you have 4 trades or more, you get rid of it. If you're down to your last 1 or 2, you just have to hold him. But if you got more than that, you sell it.
Yeah, I mean, if you had DeBellin and Samuel Alfino on the edge of your bench, though, like you move those 2 on, get yourself, I don't know, a depth cash out and Fogarty or Yo or
you could even
whatever.
Probably just do, DeBellin to Starling and Fainu to. How much is Fainu right now? Like 500.
527, I think it is.
Yeah, you can do that. Same. Dylan Brown.
Starling's expensive now, man.
Like, Fainu to Dylan Brown and DeBellin to Starling. If you haven't got
bags. You trust? Okay.
Right.
Dylan Brown could be one to pick here, guys. Last guess, top scorer around 22. I'm going to throw some names at you if you were unoriginal and couldn't think of anyone. Maybe Nathan Cleary, Payne Haas. You could take Harry Grant in a good matchup against Dragons to bust out of his cage. Go with Dave Fafita.
Fafita's pretty good against the Broncos usually, isn't he? He always makes them pay.
Oh, he should be this week. Like they've got exploitative edges right now, like exploitable edges. So yeah. Anyway, guess that score, top score around 22. That is buy, hold, sell. So, Biz, we said we are going to have a short one today. We ended up going 45 minutes because we don't know how to do short.
We talk too much, bruh. Yeah.
We ramble. We just go. We go. It's all informative, though. It's good content, good intel.
Yeah. What's our word for
today? So you go, yeah.
No, I was just saying, what's our word for today to test if people have been listening till the end?
Last word is...
What about I love Jake Tunga?
That's just funny for para fans. I'm captaining Isaac Tunko.
Okay. If you're still listening, comment below. I'm captaining Isaac Tunko.
Mate, I reckon people will be listening and they won't even comment that because it's so shameful.
Bad. Yeah, it's like I'm just not gonna even say that. Yeah, for sure. No.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Good having you on there, man.
Yeah, good stuff. Great sets. Good luck this week. And
we're gonna start doing. By the way, we'll just talk about this now while we're on here. We're gonna start doing planning for end of season fantasy awards. So I reckon this year we make it a vote. So I'll create like a form on a website or something where people can vote for the best half, best middle, all that sort of stuff.
Does this count as behind the scenes or?
This is behind the scenes.
Right.
You're basically in the casual athlete if you're still here at this point.
This is literally how we communicate. Just for the podcast, we're like, what should we do this week?
Well, we talk once a week, so
yeah,
we got to get it all in. All right, I'm going to finish the episode.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you around.
Good luck, everyone. Catch ya.